Let me ask you something. What if the problem had nothing to do with testosterone? What if it wasn't your age? It wasn't just your stress. Wasn't any of the things your doctor spent 3 minutes checking and then handed you a prescription for? What if the real problem was happening about 6 inches above your belt, inside the walls of your blood vessels, and the solution was sitting in your refrigerator the whole time? I'm Dr. Calvin Harper, board-certified family medicine physician, 28 years in clinical practice. I still see patients every week, and I want to tell you something plainly. In all those years, I have never once, not once, sat across from a man and had the time to explain what I am about to explain to you right now. The appointments are too short. The standard talking points kick in. Lifestyle changes, exercise, reduced stress. And the man walks out of my office with the same incomplete picture he walked in with. That is what this channel exists to fix. No runaround, no fine print. Just what your doctor would tell you if he actually had the time. Today, I am going to walk you through a specific dietary protocol. 5 targeted foods, eaten in a specific way, that has been shown in peer-reviewed research to begin restoring erectile function in as little as 7 days. Not months, not years, 7 days. We are going to cover exactly why it works at the cellular level. We are going to cover who should be careful. And I am going to give you the exact protocol, timing, amounts, combinations, so you know precisely what to do. Before we go any further, drop one word in the comments. How long have you been dealing with this? Just the number of years. No explanation needed. I ask because I want to understand where the men watching this channel actually are. Not the statistics, the real men. Here is what you are about to understand, and why it matters specifically for a body that has been working hard for 50 or 60 years. Let's start with the biology, because most men have been handed the wrong explanation for what erectile dysfunction actually is. The common belief is that it is a problem of desire, or hormones, or nerves, or performance anxiety. And for a small percentage of men, those things are genuinely the primary factor. But for the vast majority of men over 50, it is a plumbing problem. Not in a dismissive way, I mean that literally. The erection is a hydraulic event. Blood has to flow in, fast, and stay there. And the on switch for that process is a molecule called nitric oxide. Here is what nitric oxide does. When it is released into the walls of your blood vessels, specifically into the smooth muscle cells lining your arteries, it tells those walls to relax. They dilate. Blood rushes in. Pressure builds. The tissue fills. That is the mechanism. That is the whole mechanism. And here is the part nobody tells you. Your ability to produce nitric oxide peaks in your 20s. By the time you are 40, you are producing roughly half as much. By 60, you may be down to 30% of your peak output. A study published in the journal Nitric Oxide, yes, there is an entire scientific journal dedicated to this molecule, found that men over 60 showed a 69% reduction in endothelial nitric oxide synthase activity compared to men in their 20s. Endothelial nitric oxide synthase is the enzyme your blood vessel walls use to manufacture nitric oxide. Think of it like a factory. At 20, the factory runs 3 full shifts. At 60, you have got a skeleton crew on the night shift and half the equipment needs maintenance. The raw material is there, the demand is there, but the production has quietly collapsed. And the downstream effects are not just sexual. Low nitric oxide means constricted blood vessels throughout your entire body. Slower circulation, higher blood pressure, less oxygen delivered to working muscle, slower recovery from exercise, less sharp thinking, less energy. Erectile difficulty is often the first visible symptom of a systemic circulatory problem. And research from the European Heart Journal has confirmed that ED in men under 50 is associated with a 50% increase in cardiovascular events within 5 years. Your body is giving you a signal. It is worth paying attention to. So the question is not simply, how do I get an erection? The question is, how do I restore nitric oxide production in a 60-year-old body? And that is where the diet protocol comes in. Now here is the mechanism you have never been fully explained. Nitric oxide is not something you eat directly. You cannot drink a glass of nitric oxide. It is a gas. What you can do is give your body the raw materials to manufacture it, constantly, on demand, by rebuilding the enzyme pathway that produces it. There are 2 routes. Route 1 is the L-arginine pathway. Your body converts the amino acid L-arginine into nitric oxide using that enzyme I mentioned. endothelial nitric oxide synthase. This is the route most supplements target. It is also the route that degrades most severely with age. Route 2. And this is what the research from the past decade has been genuinely excited about, is the nitrite-nitric oxide pathway. Here is how it works. Certain foods contain dietary nitrates. You eat them. Bacteria in your mouth convert those nitrates to nitrite. Your body then converts nitrite to nitric oxide through a completely different enzymatic pathway that does not degrade with age the same way. This is the key. Route 2 is age-resistant. This is the key. Route 2 is age-resistant. A landmark study published in Hypertension, the Journal of the American Heart Association, found that dietary nitrate supplementation increased plasma nitrite levels by nearly 50% within 2 to 3 hours of consumption. Another study out of the University of Exeter showed measurable improvements in blood flow and exercise efficiency within 7 days of consistent dietary nitrate intake. And here's the part I want you to really absorb. This is not a supplement. This is food. Food that works through a biological mechanism that your body can still access, even at 60, even at 65, even if you have been dealing with this for years. I want to slow down here for a second because this matters. The reason men do not know about this pathway is that it was only comprehensively characterized in the research literature within the last 15 years. Most physicians were trained before this research existed at scale, and even those who know about it, including me, honestly, do not have time to walk through this in a standard appointment. That is the gap I am trying to close. Now here is exactly how to use it. The protocol is built around 5 specific foods, and the way you combine and time them makes the difference between results in 7 days and no results at all. Let's go through each one. The first food is beetroot. Not beet sugar, not beet chips. Beetroot. Raw, roasted, or as a concentrated juice. Beetroot is the single most studied dietary nitrate source in the human literature. It is dense. It is consistent. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology had participants consume 500 milliliters of beetroot juice daily for 6 days. Plasma nitrite concentration increased by an average of 400%. Blood pressure dropped. Endurance improved. For our purposes, the sexual function piece, a study published in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology showed that the nitric oxide surge from dietary nitrate directly relaxes the smooth muscle of the corpus cavernosum. That is the erectile tissue, the exact tissue that needs to fill with blood. The practical protocol. Consume 200 to 250 milliliters of beetroot juice daily, or 150 grams of cooked beetroot. Do it in the morning, not at night. I will explain why timing matters when we get to the full protocol summary. One important note: urine and stool may turn reddish or pinkish after eating beetroot. This is harmless. It is called beeturia. It affects roughly 10 to 14% of people. Do not be alarmed by it. The second food is rocket, what Americans call arugula. If beetroot is the engine, arugula is the fuel that keeps running all day. Arugula is one of the highest dietary nitrate sources available in leaf form. A study published in Food Chemistry found arugula to contain approximately 480 milligrams of nitrate per 100 grams, roughly 4 times the concentration found in spinach. The practical protocol: 2 handfuls, about 60 grams, daily. Do not cook it. Cooking destroys a portion of the nitrate content. Raw, in a salad, or added to a smoothie if you prefer. The reason you use both beetroot and arugula is sustained release. Beetroot delivers a concentrated morning spike through the nitrite pathway. Arugula keeps dietary nitrate levels elevated throughout the day. You are building a floor of nitric oxide availability, not just a single peak. The third food is dark chocolate, at least 70% cacao. Not milk chocolate, not chocolate-flavored anything. Here is the mechanism. Dark chocolate is rich in flavanols, specifically epicatechin and catechin. These compounds do not work through the nitrate pathway. They work through a parallel mechanism. They activate endothelial nitric oxide synthase, the very enzyme that degrades with age. They do not restore it to 20-year-old levels, but the research is clear that they meaningfully upregulate its activity. A study from the University of California, San Francisco, published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, showed that daily consumption of flavanol-rich dark chocolate improved endothelial function measured by flow-mediated dilation within 2 weeks in men with cardiovascular risk factors. Flavanols also reduce oxidative stress in the vascular endothelium. Why does that matter? Because one of the primary reasons nitric oxide production declines with age is that free radicals destroy it before it can reach the smooth muscle cells. Dark chocolate acts as a shield. The practical protocol: 20 to 30 grams daily. That is roughly 1 square or 2 from a standard bar. After lunch. Not at night. Chocolate contains stimulants that can disrupt sleep architecture in men over 50. The fourth food is pomegranate. This one has the most direct research on erectile function specifically. A randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study published in the International Journal of Impotence Research, a peer-reviewed journal dedicated entirely to sexual health, assigned men with mild to moderate erectile dysfunction to either 240 milliliters of pomegranate juice daily or placebo. After 4 weeks, 67% of men in the pomegranate group reported improved erection quality. In the placebo group, it was 37%. The mechanism is dual. Pomegranate is exceptionally high in punicalagins, polyphenols that are converted by gut bacteria into urolithins, compounds that have been shown to increase nitric oxide bioavailability and reduce the oxidative destruction of nitric oxide in blood vessels. It also directly suppresses the enzyme arginase, which breaks down L-arginine before it can be used to produce nitric oxide via route 1. In other words, pomegranate works on both pathways simultaneously. The practical protocol: 180 to 240 milliliters of pure pomegranate juice, not cocktail, not blend, daily. Or the equivalent in fresh pomegranate seeds, approximately 150 grams. Take it mid-afternoon, separate from the beetroot by at least 3 to 4 hours to maintain sustained elevation across the full day. The fifth food is watermelon, and this one surprises men every time. Watermelon, particularly the white rind near the skin, is the most concentrated dietary source of L-citrulline available in food form. L-citrulline is an amino acid that your kidneys convert to L-arginine, the precursor for nitric oxide, via route 1. Here is why citrulline is more effective than arginine supplements directly. When you take L-arginine orally, the enzyme arginase in your intestinal wall destroys much of it before it reaches your bloodstream. Studies have shown that the bioavailability of oral L-arginine is poor, as little as 20% reaches systemic circulation intact. L-citrulline bypasses this problem entirely. It is absorbed in the intestine, converted to arginine in the kidneys, and released into circulation at a far higher rate. A study published in Urology, the clinical journal, showed that men with mild erectile dysfunction who consumed L-citrulline, equivalent to 1.5 grams daily, showed significantly improved erection hardness scores after 1 month with no adverse effects. A 300-gram serving of watermelon flesh contains approximately 1.5 to 2 grams of citrulline. The rind contains even more. The practical protocol: 300 grams of watermelon flesh daily. Or, if you are willing, blend the white rind into a smoothie. Tasteless, highly effective. Best consumed in the evening, approximately 2 to 3 hours before anticipated sexual activity if relevant, or consistently each evening as part of the long-term protocol. Now let me put the full daily protocol together clearly. Morning: 200 milliliters of beetroot juice plus 2 handfuls of raw arugula. Midday: 20 to 30 grams of 70% dark chocolate after lunch. Afternoon: 180 milliliters of pure pomegranate juice. Evening: 300 grams of watermelon flesh. That is it. 5 foods. 4 time points. Consistent daily use. Research from the University of Exeter and from studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition suggest that measurable changes in nitric oxide bioavailability begin within 3 to 7 days of consistent dietary nitrate intake. 7 days to begin seeing change. 4 weeks for sustained improvement. Now I want to slow down, because this is the part I take seriously. There are 3 things you need to know before you start this protocol. The first is blood pressure. Every food in this protocol reduces blood pressure. That is a feature, not a bug, for most men over 50. But if you are already on antihypertensive medication, ACE inhibitors, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, the combination of your medication and this protocol can push your blood pressure lower than is safe. I am not saying do not do it. I am saying talk to your prescribing doctor first. Tell them what you are adding. Have your pressure checked within the first 2 weeks. The second caution is for men on blood thinners. Pomegranate specifically has been shown to inhibit cytochrome P450 enzymes in the liver, the same enzymes that metabolize warfarin and some other anticoagulants. This can increase blood levels of those medications unexpectedly. If you are on warfarin, apixaban, or rivaroxaban, please discuss this with your physician before adding pomegranate juice to your daily intake. The third caution is kidney disease. High dietary nitrate intake can affect filtration in men with compromised renal function. If you have been told you have chronic kidney disease at stage 3 or higher, do not start this protocol without medical clearance. For the vast majority of healthy men over 50, this protocol is safe, evidence-based, and genuinely effective. But listen to your body. If something does not feel right, reduce the amount, stop, and talk to your doctor. Being cautious is not weakness. It is how you protect everything you have built. Now, everything I have covered today addresses what happens during your waking hours. But for many men over 50, the most consequential physiological window is the one that nobody discusses. The hours between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. This is when your liver releases glucose through a process called hepatic glucose output. This is when cortisol begins its morning rise. This is when your body is either performing deep tissue repair or quietly compounding damage from the day before. This is also the window when men with unmanaged blood sugar are experiencing hormonal disruption that directly impairs erectile function, and they do not even know it is happening. I put together a short digital guide called The Midnight Insulin Trap that walks through exactly what is happening in this window and what you can do about it starting tonight. You can find it linked in the description. Let's close with 3 things you can do starting today. Number 1. This morning or tomorrow morning, drink 200 milliliters of beetroot juice. Pure beetroot juice. No additives. That is your first step. Number 2. Add 2 handfuls of raw arugula to 1 meal today. Do not cook it. Eat it raw. That is your second step. Number 3. Tonight, eat 300 grams of watermelon before bed. That is the citrulline delivery that keeps the pathway active through your overnight hours. 3 things. Today. If you found this useful, and I mean that genuinely, not as a line, subscribe. I put out honest, specific, research-backed information for men over 50 on a regular basis. Not hype, not products. Just the conversation your doctor would have with you if the appointment was long enough. You've put in the years. You deserve real answers. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.